My name's Katie. I'm an alcoholic, and it's
Hi,
weird.
Katie.
Hey, thanks. That makes me feel less uncomfortable. Um, because this is new to me. I've been on one of these, but I've never had to speak. And I have a little dog next to me that really just wants to be in my lap, so I'm so sorry. Um, so I have a sobriety date. It's November 7th, 2006. I was 17 when I got sober, and I feel like I was almost an adult when I met you, Molly. I'm not an adult now, but I pretend to be. And so yeah, I have a home group. It's here in Maryland. It's Tuesday nights in Ellicott City. If you're ever in Maryland, hit me up. Um, and I have a sponsor. She actually lives in Florida. Um, she lived here at one point, but her job actually had her move away. So I thought about getting a new sponsor, and then, like this day and age, like technology makes it easy and it's not any different for me. So I've kept her as a sponsor the last year, and it's worked out. I probably talk to her more actually now that she lives in a different state. Um, so yeah, and I currently don't sponsor anybody, which is probably a good thing for my sanity level. So yeah, I got sober when I was 17. I was a senior in high school, and it was not my plan. Um, I grew up in AA meetings. I was the kid in the back of the room who just kind of, was there with, their parent and, just trying to probably behave, maybe be quiet. I don't know if I wasn't, I try to make a living amends with that now. But yeah, so I grew up with an understanding of AA. I grew up with a mom who was in and out of the rooms my entire life. And it was not my plan for myself. And that didn't work out because here I am with 13 years of sobriety. And, it started with like normal experimenting and, normal teenage stuff. And then I quickly spiraled out of control. And, it happened in such a fast, amount of time that I feel like I don't even know what happened. I went from just normal drinking on the weekends with my friends to blacking out and, driving drunk and having no idea what was happening. And there's huge chunks of my life that are missing as a result. And, what was amazing is despite my mom's own issues with alcoholism and addiction, she was actively using at the time. She was able to get me the help I needed. And there's a lot to that story, but ultimately I got to the point where I had a moment of clarity and I asked for help and it was there. And I ended up in rehab, and I still was like hesitant about this whole thing. I basically, I was like, it was to a point where I was like, I can either go left or right. I know where alcohol and drugs are going to take me, and I didn't know what sobriety was going to be about. I had this idea. I have this whole idea of like, people hanging out in church basements and, going to conventions and stuff like that because I'd seen that stuff. But I just said, screw it. And I tried it. And, so I got out of rehab and I started going to meetings, and, it was miserable. I would never want to do my first year over again. It was so awful. Especially like the beginning. It got really good, but the beginning was awful. Trying to meet people, and I didn't even have a car. I don't think I had a cell phone at first. And this is before like even smartphones or anything. And I was trying to like meet people, meet younger people, and I was not doing that. I was meeting like creepy dudes outside of meetings and stuff like that, and it was just not a good time. And then what happened was my mom gave my number out to a couple people and reached out to people she had known from when she was sober. And, got to a younger person in AA who gave me a call and picked me up on a Friday night and took me to a meeting. It was like a date. So that came in and met my mom. It was super awkward. But I guess it was appropriate because I was underage. I don't know. But long story short, that person actually ended up like being my sponsor. She kind of took me under her wing and, introduced me to people, which was like traumatizing. There's nothing like being at a big meeting, like introducing yourself as being new. And then afterwards, all these women come up to you, which normally would be super awesome, but it makes me super uncomfortable. And, so I just kind of, I don't know, it just kind of went from there. I just started going to like meetings where like there was younger people. They were still, for me, they were so old at that time because, God, they're younger than I am now. But, there was nobody really in high school that was doing this thing. And, shortly, I don't know, it was like probably like a month later, I ended up meeting somebody else who was in high school and new in sobriety. And she's on the call, so this is fun. Um, so I met her and we just started doing this thing. My sponsor started taking through the steps, and I picked her as a sponsor because she had this relationship with God that I wanted. She talked about her higher power like it was her best friend. Like, her higher power had the answers to everything. And I wanted that, and I didn't know how to get that. And we started working the steps together. And as much as I felt like I was doing it wrong, and I was missing something, or I wasn't doing it right, or I didn't understand this, eventually it came full circle, and things started to make sense, and things started to fall into place. I would pray despite feeling stupid and feeling like I was doing it wrong, or I wasn't feeling this connection, until those little moments started happening where I did feel a connection, and I felt like I had the right answer. Well, I didn't have the answer, but the right thing happened. And it just kind of eventually just fell into place. I just had to stop getting in my own way. um and it just kind of, I turned 18 in sobriety, and then I turned 21, which were all like weird things to do sober. And I started meeting more young people, and eventually I got involved in YPA, um, which like I'm actually like not like the biggest fan of like I am like not the biggest like YPA person. I'm like the old YPA person. But I started bidding for ICYPA, and I'd never been, and um, I just got involved with this like different level of service, which introduced to me like this whole side of AA that I really ended up enjoying. It was not what I expected. But going to like area assemblies and stuff like that, like I didn't enjoy it, but I liked it. Um, like the whole politics of AA. And so I got involved in that, and it was amazing. Like I love institution commitments. Those are awesome too. And, just kind of like I needed to, I don't know, experience this. And this has kind of kept me, service work at this level has like kept me involved no matter what. Um, so I've been bidding for ICYPA for like 7 or 8 years, like my entire sobriety, it felt like. And eventually we got the conference, and we were hosting ICYPA, and that was very scary. And I became the chair of that, which I don't even know how that happened. Um, and at that point, my life was pretty, I mean, it was pretty good. I've been, oh God. I was chairing this conference, and everything was turning out really awesome. And in the middle of that, in the middle of chairing that conference, my mom unexpectedly passed away. And, it just felt like my whole world was like crashing around me. And then it felt like I had the whole world on my shoulders at the same time. Like, it was so unexpected. And it just like if it wasn't for the people in AA, like I don't know where I would have been. The people that were on the committee with me, just stepped up for me. They showed up in ways that I couldn't even have asked. And the people of AA in general just showed up, and, they showed up to my mom's memorial service that we put together. And like, I don't thank God for like bidding for ICYPA, because I like pulled together like this memorial service with my siblings so fast. And it was just like all this experience of like bidding and like hosting like events for ICYPA and shit. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse, sorry. I was trying not to. It just all kind of came together, and people in AA just showed up like in full force. Like afterwards, my siblings were like, that was pretty amazing. Like that, they were like, that was awesome. And it just kind of, I had to like keep going with this conference. I had to keep hosting it, and, keep keeping all the freaking herding the cats. I mean, it was just, it was a lot of stuff, and it kept me distracted for a while. And then that was over, and I was like, well, shit, here's a bunch of like stuff like I have to like face and like deal with. And I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to deal with it. And I'm not sure I am right now. And right after that, my girlfriend of 5 years broke up with me. And I was just like, damn, I was like, I'm just done. It just felt like it was like a 1-2 punch. And I was just like, all right. So I was like kind of homeless. I moved in with my brother, and I was like, what do I do now? Like, I didn't have like mom to run back to. I was like, I was getting ready to turn 30. I was just like, I'm just done. And at this point, like I was barely going to meetings. After my mom passed away, for me to like sit in a room for like an hour, um, in my own thoughts, it was a lot. It was a lot to handle. I started making my home group, and I was doing that as, to the best of my ability, and I was showing up to the best of my ability. And I just kind of, I don't know, I just felt like I was like, change is inevitable. As much as like I do not like change, I've had the same job for 13 years. I've had the same home group for 13 years. It's inevitable, and it just happens, and you just have to roll with the punches. And I feel like I was doing that with as much grace as I could muster. And as much grace as dignity as I've learned in this program, the people have taught me. Um, so I was like newly single. I didn't have a mom to run back to. I was living in my brother's guest room, and I was like, F it, I'll buy a house. So I did. I bought a house, and I moved out to kind of like the middle of nowhere, Maryland. There's people here, but it's remote enough where I can just like hide out. And it's me and this little dog in this 4-bedroom house, and I inherited my mom's dog. But I moved out here, and it took me to another level. My sister had come out to like help me move in, like my family and everybody was here. And, I was at a liquor store with my sister, and I'm sitting there in this liquor store, and I'm just looking at all the cool bottles and like picking out wine for her that I thought looked cool. And then I was sitting there, and this like thought just went through my head. I was like, I could totally drink out here and nobody would know. And I was just like, and I entertained that thought for way too long for my own comfortableness. And, I sat with that for a while, and it's not like I don't know meetings out here. I've spoken at meetings out here, through bidding for Icky Pie. I've hosted events and met a lot of awesome people out here. I just didn't want to start over out here. I just wanted to hide out on my own. And, eventually I got honest with that. And, I started talking, I shared about it in meetings. And, actually I related to this really old lady. She was so cute, but she came to share our home group. And, she was sharing about like my experience in this past like 2 years. And she was talking about that with her husband passing away and wanting to drink. And I was like, I feel you. I was like, I definitely feel you. But if I'm 80 or 90, I probably would have done it. But, I started getting honest and, just talking about it. And I can't say 100% like I am, clear of those thoughts and stuff like that. I'm still pretty much isolating out here, but I'm not as bad. It didn't help also that when I moved out here, the people I was hanging out with were people I knew from the program who were actively using. And I was surrounding myself with like chaos. So I don't know, I'm definitely working through the other side of that, and, just trying to get through like a bunch of grief and, dealing with a lot of, or avoiding is probably the better word, trying to avoid a lot of feelings, to the best of my ability. I'm getting through it. And, just sobriety has been such an amazing thing. The things I've gotten to do, the things I've gotten to, experience, whether good or bad, as a result of being sober. It's literally a life beyond my wildest dreams. From the conferences I've gotten to go to, freaking hosting Icky Pie, which was amazing. And just meeting so many amazing people, like when I met Molly and did this whole like meeting you at a random meeting in Maryland. So like this whole trickle effect of what occurred. I just can't even like, it's definitely, there's so many examples of my higher power working in my life. And I'm grateful I get to be here, and I'm grateful I get to be there for others, and, be of service, and just feel like I have a place in this world. So I don't know, this has been super awkward and uncomfortable. So I am so done. So hopefully that was long enough, but thank you so much for having me out.